Hello, welcome to today's video. We are on page number 51 of the Alfred's basic guitar method. So on this one here, we're talking about walking the bass rock. This is very similar to what we had on the previous page, eighth note bounce. Same thing. And we're also going to be reviewing the double picking technique. Okay, so use the finger in the left hand to slightly release the pressure off the string, maybe even a little bit in the pick to mute the previous string after you're done. Let's go ahead and review these notes here, walking bass rock. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and 4. G, G, B, B, D, D, E, E, G, chord. And repeat. G, G, B, B, D, D, E, E, G. Do 7 this time. C, C, E, E, G, G, A, A, C. C chord. And then back to G. B, B, D, D, E, E, G. Regular G here. E, D, 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 C, 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 G, G, B, B, D, D, E, E, G. Yeah. And you may have noticed that when I was playing the chord eighth notes, I was not doing the double picking. I like to bring them down in the same direction. Unless otherwise indicated, perhaps we'll learn about that in the future. So you may have noticed also that sometimes I cleverly would use a finger to mute a string after finishing it. For example, let's take a look at measure number 9. So we have that third string, D, we're playing it, and then the next one is C. As I press down onto C, I slightly bring it down, the flush part of my little finger there, to mute string D as I'm pressing C. And notice that I'm touching D as I play C, and that allows you to mute it. It's very important that we mute strings after we're done so that they don't mix together. For example, if we played the first measure without muting, this is what it would sound like. It would sound kind of messy, right? So, do your best to release the pressure or the tension from the string. Maybe also use the pick to mute previously played strings so that when we play the next one, it does not blend or muddy the waters. Okay, so we have dynamic signs here. When the mouth gets bigger to the right, it's called crescendo, to pluck it a little bit harder and louder. And then when it goes the other direction, it talks about decrescendo, which is to get softer. Now, this next piece here, Pecos Cannon, is played as a round. So if you want to have multiple players start, you can start at the beginning, and then 4 measures later, we have another set played, and then 4 measures later, someone else comes into the beginning, and you just keep going in and around. Now, this is a very difficult piece, and especially with the pick, it is going to be quite challenging. But I consider this a rite of passage in book 1. So if you can play this well, you can definitely play the guitar. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to know these notes here. And I'm going to actually get closer so you can see them much better here on my guitar. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, G, A, E, notice that I was using the same finger to go from one string to another, and it's perfectly fine to use the same finger from one to another after you already use it. You can use alternate fingerings. For example, you can do this. And notice that I release the tension to mute that string there. And then for these two, I can use 1 and 2. A, E, so I don't move. And that previous finger can provide help for muting. That's if you want to. It's not necessary at this time. You can just simply release and move the finger because it helps out also with the non-legato. Let's go to measure number 5 here. Ready? Okay, so we have 2 notes, and sometimes we have 3 notes. Okay, so play them one at a time, then as a group, like that. Bring it down. Okay, 2 and 3 here. This is different. And then bring it down. 3 notes at a time. Once again, F and A. And then open strings here. Then, of course, we have quarter notes. It's kind of like a variation of the beginning. So we have C, D, G, D, G. Now here, this is different. In order to play the next 2 measures, we are going to need to learn how to finger some chords. Okay, so A and C, fingers 1 and 3. So let's get 1 on C there, and then fingers 2 and 3 on E and A. So this is not usually our fingering here, but in order for this to be successful, we are going to have to finger it this way. So notice there. So we have C right there, E right there for 2, and then A will be finger number 3. This is an A minor chord, and you can actually strum the 4. You can probably strum it down here too. Maybe not that low E, although E is part of an E minor chord. It just doesn't sound that good when it has that low E there. And you notice that is an A minor chord. And when you play that little section there, this is the fingering that I want you to become familiar with, comfortable with. Notice the shape, 2 and 1. So 2 on fret 2, 1 down there on fret 1. Okay, so that when you play, you pluck these 2, E, then you let go, keep the E down, E. Now this next measure is the most difficult, but I want you to think about it in terms of the A minor chord that we just fingered. Notice, so we have 2 here on fret 2, and then 1 on fret 1. We use 2, 3, and 1, but now in the next measure, we're going to come down 1 string each. It's the same shape, this time 2 on 3, and then 1 on 2, which is the fingering. Okay, so notice here that we have 2 right there on A. Or we have 3 on C, and then 4, which is has not been used as much, but now we're going to use it, and you need to become comfortable with this. This may hurt a little bit at the beginning, but this is the correct fingering as it says there, and this is an F chord. And notice that you're coming up 1 string each, so you're like moving in patterns, in shapes. Okay, so we have F, A, and then play it together. C, move it down 1 for E. C. Now this is going to be a new kind of fingering here, and in order for us to get used to holding this fingering, I want you to try the following exercise. First of all, shape it. Okay, so once you have your fingerings there, hold it just lightly, and then tension or press into the strings, play them, and then release the pressure so that they're relaxed, and then press again, release, relax, or relax. I'm going to say relax, press when you press down, okay? So press, relax, press, relax, press, relax, press, relax. Do that as many times as is needed in order to become comfortable with it. Not only should you become comfortable with pressing it, but you should also become comfortable with shaping it and bringing your fingers to the actual chord position. Okay, so we have here F and A, C, bring 2 down to E. We have there E and G, C, bring it back down again, F and A, C, and then we have G and B, F, and now we have eighth notes. Bring down C to prepare for the eighth notes. We don't have to do double picking here because we're playing different notes, one right after the other. No repeated notes. The repeated notes, that's where we'll do the double picking. E, G, excuse me, E, G, C, G, D. Now you're just gonna have to do your best to identify these notes with the appropriate strings. You may have to look down a little bit, but eventually memorize the patterns, okay? E, G, C, G, D, and then we have D and G. Then once again, the A minor shape. C, E, A, E, G. Let go for E and G. And here comes that new shape. Press it. A, C, F, G, bring it down for G, C, bring it down again, A, C, F, C, B. We have the second interval of F and G, and then a little C chord in first inversion. It's E, G, C, and then play it together. So as you can see, this is a very, very difficult piece. It sounds something that's more appropriate for fingerstyle guitar, but if you can play it with the pick, you can play it fingerstyle too. All right, so let's go ahead and start from the beginning. We're gonna do a nice little tempo, slow and stately. Ready? And ready, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. And we'll see you in next lesson. Bye.